Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, the One Piece podcast that dives deep into the Grand Line, one chapter at a time.
This week, we are on Chapter 25, The 8 Million Berry Lie.
And let me just say, if you thought this was just going to be about Usopp dealing with a mean butler, you are not ready. This chapter is a super pivot. We go from a small-town squabble to a full-blown conspiracy, and in the middle of it all, Luffy meets a new friend and finds out his dad is a living legend on Shanks' crew. The world just got so small, so fast.
The sheer coincidence is staggering, almost to the point of being unbelievable if it were any other story. But in One Piece, it feels less like coincidence and more like destiny. But it's the quiet conversation they overhear at the very end that changes everything.
Exactly. This is one of those chapters where the gears of fate just start grinding. It's a perfect example of Oda's early mastery. He's juggling a personal, emotional story for Usopp, expanding the known world in a massive way, and setting up an immediate life-or-death threat, all within the same 20 pages. If you're here for these kinds of connections, the ones Oda seeds that blossom into something huge, then make sure you're following along with us on this voyage. You don't want to miss when these things pay off.
Let's start at the beginning, the aftermath of Usopp's punch.
Right. So Usopp has Klahadore on the ground, and for a second you think, yeah, get him, defend your dad's honor. But Klahadore is just venomous. He's not scared, he's smug. He immediately starts twisting it, saying Usopp's pirate blood makes him violent. That's such a loaded term, pirate blood.
It's a deliberate psychological attack. He's not just insulting Yasopp anymore, he's pathologizing Usopp. He's weaponizing a societal prejudice. In this world, we've seen that pirates are often viewed as monstrous, less than human. Klahadore is tapping into that fear and painting Usopp with that brush. He's telling Usopp, you are your father's son in the worst possible way. You're nothing but a brute, an animal, and I'm the civilized man here to protect the innocent from you.
It's so nasty because Usopp has built his whole identity around the pride of being a pirate's son. He sees it as this romantic, adventurous legacy. Klahadore takes that pride and reframes it as a genetic stain, a predisposition to violence and greed. And he goes for the low blow, asking if Usopp is just after Kaya's money. That's the one that makes Usopp really lose it. He's about to hit him again, but Kaya begs him to stop.
And that's the critical moment. He doesn't stop because of Klahadore's threats. He stops for her. He lets Klahadore go, even when the butler is spitting threats at him, telling him to never come back. He prioritizes Kaya's distress over his own righteous anger. That speaks volumes about his character. He's not the brute Klahadore claims he is.
My man just swallows his pride and agrees. And his own crew, the Usopp crew, they are not having it. They start giving him grief for backing down, calling him a coward. It's gotta sting, hearing that from the kids who look up to you.
They don't understand the context. They just see their captain seemingly folding to this guy. To them, honor is simple. Someone insults your flag, your captain, you fight. They haven't learned the complexities of choosing your battles, especially when someone you care about is caught in the middle.
But their loyalty is unquestionable. That's the part that gets me. They are ready to go after Klahadore themselves. Little kids ready to throw down for their captain's honor. It takes Zoro and Nami physically holding them back to stop them. You gotta love that. Zoro, the future world's greatest swordsman, is on kid wrangling duty.
It shows the impact Usopp has on them. He's their hero. His stories, his bravado, it's all real to them. Seeing him insulted like that is personal for them too. It's an attack on their whole world. And it's a subtle moment for Zoro and Nami. They could have just walked away, but they get involved. They recognize the injustice, even if they don't have the full picture.
Meanwhile, back at the mansion, the mood is just awful. Kaya won't eat. She's miserable, probably feeling guilty and confused. The only person who brought her joy has just been violently expelled from her life.
And Klahadore continues his masterclass in manipulation. He doesn't apologize. He doubles down. He frames his actions as being for her own good, a painful necessity to protect her from a dangerous influence. It's classic gaslighting.
He's bringing up the 3 years he's worked for her, lays on this whole story about how her father saved his life after some failure on a ship, and how he owes this eternal debt. He's creating this narrative where he is the sole loyal protector, sanctified by her dead father.
But think about what this means. He's weaponizing her late father against her. He's saying, I am honoring your father's memory by protecting you from this riffraff. If you defend Usopp, you are disrespecting me and, by extension, your father's wishes. He's making it emotionally impossible for her to disagree. He's making it impossible for her to argue without feeling like she's betraying her own parents. He's isolating her completely. It's not protection, it's control. He's cutting her off from her only real friend, the only person who treats her like a normal girl instead of a fragile heiress.
Exactly. He's built this narrative where he is the sole loyal guardian and anyone else is a threat. It's incredibly chilling when you see how effective it is. He's turning her own home into a prison with himself as the warden, all under the guise of love and loyalty. He's playing a long, patient game, and we're just starting to see the pieces move. So while that's going on, we cut back to Nami and Zoro hanging out with two of the Usopp pirates, Ninjin and Paimon. They're just sitting on a fence, wondering where Luffy went. It's a nice little breather moment, you know? Just seeing our crew in progress interacting with the locals.
They mention Luffy went to find Usopp, and the kids immediately know where he'll be, at his spot on the coast. It's his thinking spot. It tells us that this isn't the first time Usopp has had to retreat and lick his wounds. It's a part of his routine.
Right, but then they notice the third kid, Tomonegi, is missing, and they just laugh it off, saying he always runs off and comes back screaming about something crazy. He'll come back crying about a pirate ship attacking, they say.
It's a perfect setup. It's Chekhov's lyre. We're primed to dismiss whatever he says. Oda is training us, the reader, to react the same way the villagers do, to assume it's just another exaggeration. It's brilliant narrative conditioning.
And like clockwork, here he comes, sprinting and shouting about a man walking backwards towards the village. Of course, they all call him a liar. Even Zoro and Nami are just like, yeah, whatever, kid.
Until the man walking backwards actually shows up. Jango.
What an entrance and what a design. The weird circle beard, the heart-shaped glasses, the mushroom-patterned coat, the moonwalk. Oda's character design is just undefeated. This guy is immediately memorable. You see him once and you never forget him. He feels like he walked right out of a Michael Jackson music video and into a pirate manga.
The kids, being kids, are no longer scared. They're fascinated. They immediately ask him to do a trick, a hypnotist trick. They're completely unfazed by the sheer strangeness of this man.
And he pulls out this little ring, this chakram, and swings it back and forth. But his brilliant trick is that he hypnotizes the kids to fall asleep, and himself.
With just a few words, they all just drop. He falls over asleep right alongside them. It's a pure gag panel, and it's hilarious, but it's also more than that.
Oh, for sure. It's hilarious, but it's also a power reveal. It's played for a gag, but the dude is a legitimate hypnotist. That's a strange and very dangerous ability to introduce into this situation. It doesn't seem like a devil fruit. It's just this weird esoteric skill.
It adds a completely unknown variable. We have Klahadore scheming, which is based on manipulation and, we assume, some physical threat. And now this wild card with the power to make people do what he wants. Or at least make them fall asleep. What else could he make them do? Could he make someone sign over a will? Could he make guards abandon their post? The potential is terrifying.
So from that weirdness, we go to the coast, and it's just a beautiful, quiet moment. The art here is fantastic. Usopp is sitting under a tree on a cliff looking out at the sea, just stewing in everything that happened. He's silhouetted against the water. You can feel his loneliness.
He's completely alone with his thoughts. It's the first time we've seen him this genuinely down. The bravado is gone. The playful lying is gone. This is just Usopp, the boy who misses his dad and feels utterly defeated. This is his Gethsemane, his place of quiet contemplation and sorrow.
And then, in the most Luffy way possible, a pair of sandals drops into his view. He looks up and Luffy is just hanging upside down from a branch right above his head. No hello, no you okay, just pop, there he is, like a weird rubbery fruit.
It breaks the tension immediately. It's so perfectly Luffy. He doesn't know how to approach a somber moment with delicate words, so he just arrives. His presence is his comfort. He physically enters Usopp's space and shatters the melancholy bubble he's in.
And he doesn't beat around the bush. He doesn't ask about the fight with the butler. He doesn't ask why he's sad. He just asks him, point blank, "Hey, is your father's name Yasopp?"
The look on Usopp's face, total astonishment. How could this random guy he just met, this weirdo hanging from a tree, possibly know his father's name? For Usopp, his father is this larger-than-life figure, but also a deeply personal one. For someone else to know him, it's a shock to his system.
And Luffy just explains it so casually. "Oh yeah, I knew him when I was a kid. He was on Shanks' ship." Bro, the casualness of that bombshell is what makes it so good. He's not trying to impress Usopp. He's just stating a fact, like talking about the weather. He has no idea he just changed Usopp's entire world.
He says Yasopp was his favorite member of the red-haired pirates, and that he's pretty sure he's still with Shanks even now. This is monumental for Usopp. He knows his father's a pirate, but he likely has no idea of the scale.
Usopp cannot believe it. His dad is on the crew of red-haired Shanks. That's not just some random pirate crew. That's a crew that's already legendary. We know that from Chapter 1. We know Shanks is the man who inspired Luffy, who faced down the Lord of the Coast, who is respected and feared. Usopp is just now learning his dad is part of that. He's pirate royalty.
And this leads into a flashback to Fuchsia Village, to Luffy as a little kid. And narratively, this is so important. We're seeing the world through Luffy's memory, which validates the story for Usopp and for us.
It's so good to be back there. We see Shanks and the whole crew, Ben Beckman, Lucky Roo, and there he is, Yasopp, looking cool with the dreads and the Yasopp headband. And Luffy is telling him how amazing his dad is, bragging on his behalf, and Yasopp just goes, "Oh yeah? Watch this."
And he demonstrates his skill. He has someone put an apple on a barrel way out in the distance. He doesn't even look. He just turns, draws, and fires, and the apple just explodes. The panel shows the bullet flying straight and true. It's a moment of pure, undeniable mastery.
The man's a legend, a true sharpshooter. You see that and you immediately understand where Usopp gets it from. This isn't just a hobby for him, it's in his blood. This is his inheritance. This skill, this potential for greatness. It's a direct link to the father he barely remembers.
Then they're in Makino's bar, and Yasopp is telling little Luffy about his own son back home, who's about the same age. He's not just a crewmate, he's a father, and he talks about his son.
He's bragging about him. He misses him. You can see it. This isn't a guy who just abandoned his family and forgot them. He carries his son with him. That's gotta mean everything for Usopp to hear, that his dad didn't just leave and never look back. He thought about him. He talked about him to his new family.
But then Luffy gets bored, as kids do, and Yasopp puts a glass on his head and taps it like a little joke. And then he stands up and delivers one of the most important lines, I think, for understanding the romantic heart of this series.
He just raises his mug and declares that the Jolly Roger was calling to him, that the pirate flag itself called him out to sea, and the whole crew cheers. It's not an excuse, it's a declaration of faith.
It recasts the entire idea of him leaving. It wasn't an act of selfishness in his mind. It was answering a higher calling, the call of freedom, of adventure, of living a life so true to oneself that it's impossible to ignore. It's the central romance of piracy in this world. It's the same call that Luffy will eventually answer.
That's exactly it. He had to go. For men like him, the sea is not a choice, it's a destiny. And hearing that, seeing that, you get why Usopp is so fiercely proud of him, even though he left. Because his dad wasn't just running away from something, he was running towards his dream. And that is something to be proud of.
Back in the present, Usopp explains that. His voice is trembling. He says he's proud of his father for being a brave warrior of the sea, and that his own pride doesn't matter. He'd go back to the mansion right now if Klahadore would just apologize for insulting his father.
He just wants respect for his dad. That's all this has ever been about. It's so pure. It's not about him being called a liar or a brute. It's about defending the legacy of the man who gave him his dream.
And as they're having this incredibly important, heartfelt, character-defining moment, Luffy, being Luffy, gets distracted.
He's just like, hey, who are those guys down on the beach? He points down and Usopp looks over the cliff. And it's Klahadore. This is immediately wrong. Why is he here?
Meeting with another man. It's the backwards walking guy from the village, Jango. The two strange threads of this chapter are suddenly tying together.
They're too far away to hear at first, but you know this is bad. Klahadore isn't supposed to be meeting strange moonwalking hypnotists on a secluded beach. He's supposed to be a loyal butler. This is a secret meeting. This is a conspiracy.
And then we hear Jango's voice carry up to them. He confirms it. He says, the plan is ready. After 3 long years, the plan is ready.
The plan to do what?
To murder the mansion owner.
To assassinate Kaya.
Yes, and Luffy and Usopp are the only 2 people in the world who just heard it. The final panel is a close-up on Usopp's horrified face, the weight of this knowledge crashing down on him.
What a cliffhanger. The entire story just flipped on its head. This isn't about an inheritance squabble or an overprotective butler. This is a full-blown assassination plot that's been in the works for 3 years. The scale of the villainy just exploded.
And Usopp, the town liar, the boy who cried pirate, is the one who holds the terrible truth. The cosmic irony is crushing.
This changes everything. We thought the stakes were Usopp's pride and his friendship with Kaya. Now the stakes are Kaya's life. Okay, we have to make some predictions. We have to figure out where this goes next.
I agree. But first, if you have a theory about who Klahadore really is, or what his history might be, drop it in the comments. We want to read every single one. What kind of pirate would be patient enough to play butler for 3 years?
Yeah, for real? Is he just some guy or is he someone bigger? Let us know. Okay, Robin, you go first. Predictions for chapter 26.
My first prediction is that Usopp is going to do exactly what his character has been built to do. Run. He's going to run back to the village and try to warn everyone about Klahadore's plot. And because of his established reputation as a liar, a reputation that was just reinforced today, not a single person is going to believe him. They'll think it's his most elaborate lie yet, a desperate, spiteful story to get back at the man who kicked him out.
Oh, that's brutal, but it makes perfect sense. The one time he's telling the absolute world-shattering truth, his past comes back to haunt him. That's some tragic hero stuff right there. The shepherd boy finally sees a real wolf.
My second prediction is that Klahadore isn't his real name. I think he's a known pirate with a bounty who went into hiding 3 years ago. His entire identity as a butler is a fabrication to get close to Kaya's fortune. I suspect he's a pirate known for his intelligence and meticulous planning, perhaps someone thought to be dead or disappeared. Klahadore is the mask. The true person is a patient, cruel strategist.
I love that. So his story about Kaya's dad saving him was another lie, part of the long con. That makes him so much more sinister. He didn't just stumble into this job. He targeted them from the beginning. Okay, my turn.
Go ahead.
First prediction, Luffy and Usopp aren't going to waste time trying to convince the village. Or at least, after Usopp's initial attempt fails, Luffy will cut through the noise. Luffy just heard that his new friend's other friend is in danger. He's not going to form a committee or try to convince the mayor. They're going to make their own plan to storm the mansion and stop the assassination themselves. It's going to be a direct assault.
A direct approach. Very Luffy. He sees a problem, he identifies the bad guy, he punches the bad guy. Simple.
Exactly. My second prediction is that this conflict will be the first time we see Usopp truly step up as a fighter. We just had this huge emotional flashback about his legendary sharpshooter father. That wasn't just for backstory, it's setup. Inspired by the memory of his dad, we're going to see him use his slingshot, his wits, and his lies, not just for games, but to genuinely protect someone. This is the moment the captain of the Usopp pirates becomes a real warrior.
The liar becoming the hero by using his lies in a new way, as tactical misdirection, as bluffs to scare enemies. I can see that. He has to weaponize the very thing that has made him an outcast.
And my third one, building on that, I think the Usopp pirates, the kids, are going to play a key role. They might be the only ones who actually believe Usopp. When the entire town turns their back on him, his little crew of 3 will stand by him. They'll find a way to cause a distraction, or get a message to Zoro and Nami, or use their knowledge of the village to set traps. Their loyalty is going to be a real factor.
The kids saving the day. That would be a very Oda-esque touch. It reinforces the theme of found family and loyalty transcending age or strength. The weakest characters can perform the most vital actions. I like that.
It's all lining up. A friend in trouble, a villain in hiding with a 3-year master plan, a hypnotist wildcard, and a hero who has to prove to himself and his entire village that he is more than just a liar. Syrup Village is about to get a whole lot louder.
I think you're right. The peace Usopp was trying to manufacture with his lies is about to be shattered by a terrible truth.
We'll find out next time. See you then.